Conor McGregor has officially ignited the engine for his long-awaited UFC comeback, declaring that his training camp for the historic White House event is now underway, and vowing to return in the form that once made him the sport's undisputed king. The former featherweight and lightweight champion, whose career has been in a state of suspended animation since shattering his leg against Dustin Poirier in July 2021, has returned to the foundational surroundings of Straight Blast Gym, SBG in Dublin, reuniting with his original coach, John Kavanagh, to prepare for what he hopes will be a career-defining night. In a new video released by the Mac Life, McGregor appears locked in, featuring clips of intense, focused sparring that signal a serious shift in gear. His message was concise and brimming with trademark conviction. "I'm 100%, McGregor stated firmly. "We're going in here 100%. I'm going into this fight 100% Conor McGregor, not 92, 100% Conor McGregor." This declaration serves as a direct counter to the swirling questions about his readiness after a nearly 3-year hiatus, a period defined by an arduous physical recovery, ventures outside the sport, and several well-publicized legal controversies. McGregor has spent recent weeks asserting that he is back on the straight and narrow, positioning the unprecedented UFC event on the White House South Lawn on June 14th as the perfect legacy-cementing platform for his return. While the UFC is yet to officially announce his participation, the initiation of a full camp at his home gym suggests McGregor and his team are operating under the assumption that a slot on the landmark card is his. The more pressing mystery surrounds his opponent. For over a year, a heated rivalry with Michael Chandler seemed the destined matchup, but UFC CEO Dana White has recently distanced the promotion from that booking. Into that vacuum has stepped former BMF champion Jorge Masvidal, who has openly hinted at advanced discussions for a blockbuster clash with the Irish superstar. The central drama of McGregor's return lies in whether the 35-year-old can resurrect the explosive speed, precision, and fight-ending power that catapulted him to global fame. The footage and his confident proclamations are designed to argue yes. By recommitting to SBG and Kavanagh, McGregor is signaling a return to the formula that built him. As the camp progresses, the world will watch to see if the Notorious can truly deliver on his promise of being 100%, and if that version is enough to conquer the elite of the UFC's stacked divisions on one of the biggest stages the sport has ever seen. Alex Perez made a thunderous statement at UFC 324, stopping the durable Charles Johnson with a first-round left hook to snap a 4-fight losing streak. However, despite the emphatic return to the win column, his future in the UFC remains uncertain as he enters free agency. The flyweight veteran, whose contract expired with the victory, is now in negotiations with the promotion, hoping his performance was enough to earn a new deal. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, Perez expressed cautious optimism about his chances. "I feel confident, you know? Obviously the performance shows a lot. I'm going out there finishing Charles Johnson. He's tough. He's never been finished, and I was the first one to do it. So I think that made a statement, and they want to see finishes, especially in the lighter divisions. So it just kind of all worked in my favor. So I feel very confident that I'll get another fight." The victory was not without a complicating factor. Perez missed weight for the bout, coming in heavy for the flyweight limit, a significant mark against him in negotiations. He attributed the miss to a short-notice turnaround after fighting in Doha last November, and the difficulty of navigating the holiday period. The weight issue, I think it was just too back-to-back. I fought in Doha, I come back through the holidays and do this again. I tend to think I'm still young, which I'm not. I'll be 34 in March, so I can't make those quick turnarounds like I used to. Perez acknowledged the misstep and is now in a position where he must convince UFC matchmakers, particularly Mick Maynard, to look past it. "Hopefully I showed the UFC I still belong. I have to sit down and talk to my management and talk to Mick Maynard. Hopefully they can forgive me for this, and hopefully I can get a couple more fights in." For Perez, the knockout was a vital proof of concept that he still possesses the power and skill to be a factor at 125 pounds. But in the business of the UFC, a win and a weight miss create a mixed ledger.
His confidence is rooted in the finish. His future now depends on whether the promotion values that statement enough to overlook the scale.
Paddy Pimblett's interim title fight against Justin Gaethje at UFC 324 was the biggest and most lucrative night of his career, but the aftermath has brought a significant financial and physical toll. While the baddie earned a career-high purse of approximately $1.5 million for the 5-round war, along with a $100,000 fight of the night bonus, reports indicate nearly half of that total will be lost to taxes. The hefty deduction underscores the stark reality even a major payday can bring, especially following a punishing loss. Beyond the financial hit, Pimblett faces a mandated recovery period. After being transported to the hospital for further evaluation following the bout, he automatically triggered a medical suspension from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, NSAC. The suspension requires a minimum 30-day rest period, which can only be lifted after clearance from a commission-approved physician, a standard safety protocol for fighters who sustain significant damage. Despite the defeat, Pimblett's stock may have risen in the eyes of many observers. UFC Hall of Famer and commentator Daniel Cormier argued that the performance served as a form of elevation, silencing critics who labeled him a hype job. Very rarely does a guy elevate in a loss as much as I believe Paddy Pimblett will elevate in this loss. So many people wanted to call him a hype job. What I saw was a kid that has a big future, that has a ton of ability to really challenge the best fighters in the world, and he will do that consistently for a really, really long time. Cormier encouraged Pimblett to hold his head high, adding, "I know Paddy was very disappointed, but he needs to keep his head up because I thought tonight he fought well. He represented himself, he represented his family, represented Liverpool very, very well inside the octagon. So keep your head up, Paddy Pimblett. That was title fight number 1 of many that will come down the line." For now, Pimblett's immediate path involves healing and waiting out his suspension. When he returns, a number of high-profile options could await, from a rescheduled grudge match with Ilia Topuria to bouts against other top lightweights looking to test the Scouser's heart and newfound credibility. The loss to Gaethje may have cost him the interim belt and a sizable portion of his purse, but in the eyes of many, it also earned him something less tangible but equally valuable: proven legitimacy at the sport's highest level.
Arman Tsarukyan is so determined to secure a fight with UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria that he's making an unprecedented offer. He's willing to buy his rival's house. The top-ranked contender's bold proposal comes as the division's title picture solidifies around a different matchup, leaving Tsarukyan on the outside looking in, despite a strong claim as the true #1 contender. Topuria, the reigning undisputed champion, has been inactive since winning the vacant belt with a knockout of Charles Oliveira last year, attending to personal matters, including a highly publicized divorce. During his absence, the UFC introduced an interim title, which Justin Gaethje claimed this past Saturday with a decisive victory over Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324. The promotion now appears set on booking a title unification bout between Topuria and Gaethje for later this year. This plan has left Tsarukyan in a frustrating limbo. The Armenian fighter is on a dominant 5-fight win streak, with recent victories over former champion Charles Oliveira and perennial contender Dan Hooker. Outside of competitive losses to Islam Makhachev and Mateusz Gamrot, he has looked nearly unstoppable. Yet, despite his credentials, he has seemingly fallen out of favor with UFC leadership, potentially due to past incidents like his weigh-in altercation with Hooker, and now finds himself bypassed for the next title opportunity. In a creative and public attempt to cut through the noise and appeal directly to Topuria, Tsarukyan took to social media, referencing reports that the champion has put his luxurious $3.5 million Madrid estate on the market following his divorce. "I'll buy your house if you agree to fight me next, at Topuria," Tsarukyan wrote on X. The offer, while extreme, underscores Tsarukyan's desperation and confidence. He is effectively betting on himself, proposing a high-stakes wager where the ultimate prize is a title shot. While Topuria himself has never shied away from a challenge, the decision ultimately rests with UFC matchmakers who are currently focused on the commercially appealing Gaethje unification bout. For now, Tsarukyan's house-buying proposal stands as one of the most unconventional call-outs in recent memory, a clear signal that he believes he is the rightful challenger and is willing to go to extraordinary lengths to prove it. Whether it moves the needle with the champion or the promotion, however, remains to be seen.
UFC strawweight Yasmin Lucindo has accepted a 9-month suspension from Combat Sports Anti-Doping (CSAD) after testing positive for a banned anabolic agent this past fall. CSAD announced the sanction on Tuesday, detailing that Lucindo's out-of-competition sample from September 24, 2025, contained mesterolone, a prohibited substance in the class of anabolic agents. Following the positive test, the UFC immediately removed Lucindo from her scheduled bout against Jillian Robertson on December 13, 2025 in Las Vegas. CSAD's investigation concluded that the fighter did not intentionally ingest the substance for performance enhancement. According to their statement, Lucindo fully cooperated and provided documentation from a Brazilian pharmacy where she had obtained compounded dietary supplements prior to the adverse finding. The pharmacy was known to compound products containing mesterolone, and CSAD could not rule out the possibility of inadvertent contamination. The agency noted that Lucindo's testing history supported low-level exposure. She had provided clean samples in August and October 2025, and the concentration of mesterolone in her September sample was minimal. However, because some of the supplements had already been consumed, CSAD could not definitively confirm contamination as the source. Under the UFC anti-doping program, CSAD may, in its sole discretion, suspend any portion of a period of ineligibility when an athlete provides full and complete cooperation, officials stated. CSAD determined that Lucindo Bezerra met this standard, and when combined with the evidence indicating she did not intentionally use or expose herself to significant quantities of mesterolone, imposed a 9-month period of ineligibility. Her suspension is retroactive to September 24, 2025, and will run through June 24, 2026. Prior to the ruling, Lucindo's team had attributed the positive test to a tainted supplement, stating, "Yasmin has not knowingly used any prohibited substances, and based on the amount and type of the detected metabolites, we firmly believe that this is a case of contamination rather than intentional use." While CSAD has issued its suspension, Lucindo's case must still be reviewed by the Nevada Athletic Commission, which could impose additional penalties, including a fine or an altered suspension term. For now, the 22-year-old Brazilian will be sidelined until late June, disrupting her momentum in a competitive strawweight division.
Alexander Volkanovski will defend his UFC featherweight championship against Diego Lopez in a highly anticipated rematch at UFC 325 on February 1st in Sydney, marking the champion's first title defense on home soil in Australia. The bout comes 9 months after their first encounter at UFC 314, where Volkanovski secured a unanimous decision victory with scores of 49-46, 49-46, and 48-47. Current betting lines position Volkanovski as a moderate favorite, with odds ranging from -148 to -162 across major sportsbooks, while Lopez sits as the underdog between +124 and +136. This represents a notable tightening from their first fight, where Lopez entered as a significant +400 underdog before the line closed around -155 for Volkanovski. The movement suggests bettors see this rematch as more competitive, potentially influenced by Lopez's explosive knockout win over Jean Silva last September and lingering questions about Volkanovski's durability following knockout losses to Ilia Topuria in recent years. The over-under is set at 4.5 rounds, with slight odds favoring the fight to end before the final bell. Sharp betting interest has also been noted in prop markets, particularly in Lopez to win by knockout or submission, reflecting confidence in his finishing ability. Statistically, Volkanovski dominated the first meeting, outlanding Lopez 158-63 in significant strikes and showcasing his technical superiority. Now 37, the champion holds a record of 27-4 with 13 knockouts and boasts a striking accuracy of 56% while absorbing just 3.36 significant strikes per minute. However, he returns to Australia for the first time since his unsuccessful lightweight title bid against Makhachev in early 2023, aiming to solidify his second reign atop the featherweight division. Lopez, 31, brings a dangerous finishing pedigree with 11 knockouts and 12 submissions. His spectacular spinning elbow finish of Silva demonstrated the threat he poses to any opponent, and he'll look to close the distance and test Volkanovski's chin early. The booking has drawn some controversy, as undefeated contenders Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy, who delivered a Performance of the Year candidate with a spinning elbow knockout of his own, were passed over for this immediate rematch. Nevertheless, the stage is set for a compelling championship clash. Volkanovski will look to wield his experience and technical mastery in front of a home crowd, while Lopez seeks to rewrite the narrative and capture gold by leveraging his youth, power, and momentum. UFC star Sean O'Malley has revealed that his pivotal victory at UFC 324 carried far higher stakes than just snapping a two-fight skid. It was a fight that could have ended his career. After defeating Song Yadong by unanimous decision in Saturday's co-main event, Suga confessed in a candid interview that another loss might have pushed him toward retirement. "Realistically, you never know," O'Malley said on the About Last Fight podcast. "If I would have lost, I'd be like, these weight cuts suck, F this. I don't know if I would have been like that, but it's possible. I'm going to retire when I feel like, okay, it's time. If I would have lost, it could have been my last fight. I have such a good life back home, I could have just been like, you know what?" The admission underscores the mental and physical toll that back-to-back losses to Merab Dvalishvili had taken on the former bantamweight champion. O'Malley entered the bout with Yadong carrying not just the pressure to rebound, but also a lingering internal question about his own desire. "That was a scary thought going into this fight, that I even had that thought in my mind, because I was like, how bad do I really want this? If it comes down to one of those moments on how bad do I want it, will I be able to push like I did in that Piotr Yan fight? I got my answer tonight. I do still want it, and I proved that to myself. The only way I was going to be able to know that was if I had to dig deep, and I did." O'Malley described the unique pressure of the moment, balancing the high stakes with an attempt to manage his own expectations. "I was coming off 2 losses. I did a good job not building it up too big, because if I lose this fight, I still have a great life, I'm still okay, but still, I can't come off 3 losses. I can't lose again." There was a lot of pressure. Not a lot, but there was definitely pressure I put on myself. With the victory, O'Malley not only avoided a career-threatening 3rd consecutive defeat, but also re-injected himself into the bantamweight title conversation. He has since called for a rematch with current champion Piotr Yan, setting his sights squarely on reclaiming the belt he once held. For now, the win over Yadong served a dual purpose. It kept his championship hopes alive, and perhaps more importantly, reaffirmed his commitment to the sport at a moment when walking away was a very real possibility. Dana White and the UFC are just one event into their new era on Paramount+, and already the presentation is drawing criticism from viewers. While UFC 324 delivered an entertaining night, capped by Justin Gaethje's thrilling win over Paddy Pimblett, a consistent complaint emerged across social media: an overwhelming number of advertisements, many of which cut into fighter walkouts and between-round corner audio, moments traditionally reserved for atmosphere and insight.
Under the landmark $7.7 billion media rights deal, the UFC has shifted from a pay-per-view model to a subscription-based streaming format on Paramount+. At the post-fight press conference, White addressed the feedback bluntly, framing the ad load as a necessary trade-off for the new pricing structure. "I haven't seen it yet, and all of this is a work in progress," White said. "It's $8.99. You're not paying fucking however much more. These guys have got to make some money too." His response acknowledges the economic reality behind the shift. With fans no longer paying upwards of $80 per event, advertising revenue becomes a crucial component of the business model. However, the execution on Saturday left many feeling the balance was off, with commercials interrupting key elements of the live fight experience. When asked whether the broadcast format was primarily dictated by Paramount, White conceded the point, but emphasized collaboration. "Well, that is a fact. Let's start there. But these guys are incredible to work with already, so we'll figure it out." The partnership is set to run through 2032, giving both sides ample time to refine the product. The UFC gets an immediate chance to adjust this coming Saturday with UFC 325 in Sydney, Australia. How quickly and effectively they address viewer concerns, particularly around pacing, ad placement, and preserving the sport's immersive moments, will be a key early test of the new broadcast relationship. For now, the message from the UFC's CEO is clear. Changes are part of the process, but so is the reality that in the streaming era, ads help keep the price of admission low. Even while sidelined with injury, UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall is keeping a close eye on the division he rules, and he wasn't impressed by what he saw from Derek Lewis at UFC 324. Lewis, a former title challenger and fan favorite, suffered a bizarre second-round TKO loss to the surging Waldo Cortez Acosta in a bout that left many questioning the veteran's durability and focus. Aspinall chose to watch the event on delay Sunday morning, filming his reactions for a YouTube video. When he reached the Lewis-Acosta fight, his commentary was equal parts amusement and frustration. From the opening moments, Aspinall noted Lewis's sluggish movement and predictable offense. "Waldo is just younger, sharper. Derek is very slow. He tries the odd thing, but you can see it a mile away," he observed. His bemusement turned to disbelief as Lewis repeatedly stumbled or fell without appearing to absorb significant damage. "Oh, Derek's fell over, he's fell over," Aspinall remarked early on. "Come on, Derek, you can't just fall over. If you're gonna fall over, at least try to get up." "Oh no, he's getting battered, Derek. Fell over, couldn't recover from the fall." While Aspinall gave credit to Cortez Acosta for a sharp performance, his focus was clearly on Lewis's puzzling lack of urgency and stability. The loss raises further questions about the 40-year-old veteran's future in a division that is growing younger and more athletic. For Aspinall, the fight served as a lighthearted but telling scouting report. As he awaits his own return from eye surgery, he'll undoubtedly note Cortez Acosta as a rising contender and Lewis as a fading force in a heavyweight landscape that waits for no one.
Robert Whittaker is offering a more measured perspective on Paddy Pimblett's UFC 324 performance, choosing to highlight the heart and durability the baddie displayed in defeat rather than joining the chorus of criticism from some of his rivals. Pimblett came up short in his bid for the interim lightweight title, losing a unanimous decision to Justin Gaethje in a punishing 5-round war that headlined the event. While the loss cost him a massive grudge match with undisputed champion Ilia Topuria and drew swift derision from competitors like Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan, the latter of whom called him a trash can, Whittaker found significant positives in the performance. Paddy's heart, the grit of this kid. I don't care that he lost the fight. He comes back and murders most guys. Obviously, myself and everybody else is worried about how much a fight like this takes out of you, but he's super young. I think he's young enough to bounce back from a fight like this to turn it into a superpower moving forward, because not many people survive Gaethje like he did, or have moments of greatness late in the fight after taking the hits that he took. Whittaker's analysis cuts to a key distinction in evaluating a loss: the difference between being outclassed and being hardened. Pimblett was never finished, showed resilience in the later rounds, and had moments of success even after absorbing Gaethje's best shots, a testament to both his chin and his spirit. Following the fight, Pimblett himself handled the defeat with grace, praising Gaethje as a legend during his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan and vowing to learn and improve from the experience. For now, Pimblett will take a well-earned rest after the grueling contest. His next move in a stacked lightweight division will be a compelling storyline, but as Whittaker suggests, the true test may not be the loss itself, but what Pimblett builds from it. Surviving a war with Justin Gaethje is a rite of passage. How he uses that experience could determine whether this setback becomes a stumbling block or a foundation for a stronger future.
Gene Silva has revealed that his bizarre surfboard move on Arnold Allen at UFC 324 wasn't just a spontaneous moment of showmanship, it was a trained and calculated tactic. During the fight, with Allen on his hands and knees, Silva hopped onto his back and rode him momentarily like a surfboard, creating one of the most unusual visuals of the night and perfectly encapsulating his unpredictable and charismatic style. In his post-fight press conference, Silva confirmed the move was intentional and part of his preparation for a fighter as defensively savvy as Allen. "This is really something I trained," Silva explained. "I literally trained it because I knew that Arnold Allen is difficult to maintain on the ground. He gets up with both hands on the ground and he leaves his back exposed, so I knew at the end of the round I could pull that off, and that's what you guys saw." The move, while unorthodox, served a strategic purpose: to control Allen, waste precious seconds on the clock, and demoralize an opponent known for his resilience. Silva's performance was part of a larger game plan devised by his team, who urged him to embrace a longer, more methodical fight to prove his championship medal. "I really wanted to knock him out in the first round, but this was the plan from my team. My team told me that if I really want to become a champion and be the next champion of the division, I have to fight 3 rounds. He's a very good fighter and has only lost to Evloev and Holloway, and neither of them did any real damage like I did against him." With the victory, Silva not only secured the biggest win of his career, but also announced himself as a must-watch contender in the featherweight division, both for his skill and his flair. He closed with a question that doubled as a warning to the rest of the top 15. Who's going to be the next one that's going to get surfed by Lord? Gene Silva's blend of disciplined strategy and unapologetic showmanship makes him one of the most intriguing fighters on the roster, and his surf move is now a signature and surprisingly practiced part of his growing legend.
Paddy Pimblett aimed to capture the interim lightweight title in the UFC 324 main event, but Justin Gaethje's relentless pressure and trademark power left a visible mark on the Liverpudlian. After 5 punishing rounds that saw the two combine for over 300 significant strikes, Gaethje walked away with the interim belt for a historic second time, while Pimblett exited the octagon bruised, bloodied, and bound for the hospital. UFC CEO Dana White, who had high expectations for the promotion's debut main event on Paramount+, praised both fighters for delivering an instant classic that earned Fight of the Night honors. Quote, "Paddy Pimblett at the weigh-ins yesterday says, 'I'm gonna knock this mother out tomorrow,' and I was like, that's interesting. He never abandoned that game plan," White remarked at the post-fight press conference. "He got dropped a couple of times. He kept waiting for him. I didn't know Paddy Pimblett had a chin like that till tonight. And yeah, absolute dogfight and a war, and much respect to both guys." While Gaethje participated in a backstage interview with new post-fight anchor Kate Scott, Pimblett was conspicuously absent, leading many to assume he had been sent for medical evaluation. White confirmed those suspicions, revealing that the promotion had intended to send both fighters to the hospital as a precaution, a standard procedure after such a violent battle. However, the seasoned Gaethje, no stranger to wars, declined. "Apparently, he's 100%, White said of Gaethje. "We sent Paddy Pimblett straight to the hospital, and then we're going to send Gaethje too. Gaethje's like, I've been in plenty of wars, trust me, I'm good. So as far as we know right now, he's healthy." Pimblett's willingness to trade in the pocket with one of the division's most feared hitters earned him respect, but it also came at a cost. Gaethje scored multiple knockdowns and landed heavy right hands throughout the fight, and while Pimblett never stopped firing back, the damage was evident. He now faces a potential medical suspension that could last up to 6 months, depending on the severity of his injuries. For Gaethje, the victory sets up a title unification bout with undisputed champion Ilia Topuria. For Pimblett, the defeat is a harsh lesson in the highest level of competition, a lesson delivered with the kind of violence that defines Gaethje's career, and one that Pimblett absorbed with a durability few knew he possessed.
The flyweight division does not pause for injuries, and at UFC 324, Natalia Silva made sure it did not stall either. When former champion Alexa Grasso was forced to withdraw from her scheduled bout, the UFC needed a credible replacement to preserve the integrity of the card. Silva stepped in on 3 weeks' notice, and on Saturday night, she walked out of the octagon with a composed, technical victory over Rose Namajunas, a win that solidifies her undefeated UFC record and strengthens her claim that her next fight should be for the title. In accepting the short-notice risk against a former two-division champion, Silva transformed a potential setback for the event into a statement performance. She didn't just fill a slot, she controlled the fight, using sharper movement, consistent volume, and tactical discipline to outwork Namajunas over 3 rounds. The victory was a reminder of her reliability and skill, but also of her value to the promotion in a moment of need. After the fight, Silva framed her decision clearly and strategically. "So I hope that's what happens," she said in her post-fight interview. "I decided to accept this fight to help them, to help the event as well, and I hope they see worth in that, they see value in what I did, and that my next fight is for the title." Her message was deliberate, not a demand, but a reciprocal expectation. She had shouldered the risk and delivered under pressure. Now she believes the UFC should acknowledge that contribution with the opportunity she has earned. Silva also added a personal touch, noting that her birthday falls on February 3rd and suggesting a title shot would be a fitting way to celebrate. It was a subtle but effective way to humanize her campaign while keeping the focus on merit. Short-notice fights at the contender level are rarely ideal. Preparation is condensed, game plans are simplified, and the margin for error shrinks. Silva's willingness to accept those conditions and her ability to thrive within them speaks to her readiness for the biggest stage. Her case for a title shot is no longer built solely on a winning streak or rankings. It's built on availability, consistency, and execution when the division needed stability. With champion Valentina Shevchenko awaiting her next challenger, Silva has made it difficult for the UFC to look past her. Whether the promotion moves immediately to that matchup or considers other contenders, Silva's performance at UFC 324 ensured that her name will be at the center of the title conversation, a conversation she helped keep alive when the flyweight division could have easily stalled.